Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You know, the reason why they say you can learn from history is because the same events happen over and over and over if you are knowledgeable enough to see a pattern. And when you see the pattern, it's just the same scenario, but it's just different actors and different times. In this case, we have this scenario that we saw it, for instance, at I don't know, let's say American-Mexican War, or the Texans, when Texas became independent and so on, and then they got a scuffle with on Rio Grande a little bit over there, and American blood was spilled on U.S. territory and blah blah blah, and they took half of Mexico. So that was based on they're killing our how should I put it? Our Americans who live in Texas. They kill our people over there. We have to intervene somehow. We have to help Texas become independent because the Mexican government is killing our people. We have to protect them. And that was one of them. The other one was, if you remember, the Sudetenland in then the Second World War, before the Second World War, where the Germans said, well, you guys are killing our and are persecuting our people over there in your country. That was actually that territory was taken from us in the First World War, given to you, and now we have to defend our connationals, our people, so we have to intervene. So why don't you give us Sudetenland? And by the way, while we are at it, we take the whole Czechoslovakia. So that was another example. Now we have this Ukrainian example where the Russians say, hey, you're killing our people in your country and we have to intervene and protect them. And so we go. All right. And now we have something else that happens, same pattern, which is somehow, I don't want to say I'm celebrating this, but I think that would make the Baltic states shut up for a while, because I think they're pushing the buttons too much, and if you, long time ago, there were some certain kind of whatever stereos or whatever you were pushing, and you push the button, and instead of jumping back, you would stay stuck in there, and you can push on it, and it doesn't jump back, it doesn't come back, so you hit the whatever it is until it pops up, and you can push it again. So I think the Baltic states push the button of the Russia that it doesn't come out, and they don't know how to shake the Russian box to make it pop up, because if that stays over there, it's going to punch them in the teeth. That's how I see it. This is the way I see it. So this article comes from Reuters, April 30th. April 30th, man. And April 30th, 1945, Berlin. No. So, August 30th, 2022. Moscow says Baltic states, and I'm quoting, Russophobia will further damage ties. That means we're going to punch you in the face. Just wait. Just continue to keep the button down. So on August 30th, Russia condemned the destruction of Soviet war memorials. I made a video on that, and I emphasize the fact that there are countries who destroy actually their history, because it's not Russia that was Soviet Union, it was multinational, multicultural country, which they also claim to be right now. That's why it's the Russian Federation and it's not Russia. So the destruction of Soviet war memorials in the 3 Baltic states, and accused them on Tuesday, be careful, pay attention to this keyword, of persecuting the Russian-speaking minorities. We're gonna get you. All right. In a forcefully worded statement, Moscow said Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia were guilty. Guilty means punishment. Of xenophobia, saying they were treating their ethnic Russian minorities as second-class people. It says Russian language media, kindergartens and schools were being shut down. Well, I think this necessitates a military intervention. I think that's why they will code it. Humanitarian intervention, I think. And I'm quoting, what is happening now in the Baltic states is unacceptable for us. Unacceptable, that means it can't go on like this. It needs to be changed. How can you change that? Boom, zzz, roll the tanks. And will certainly affect the state of bilateral relations with these countries, which are already in complete decline. So that means the button is, doesn't pop back up, the foreign ministry said. It complained of, and I'm quoting, Russophobic approaches and unprecedented, in fact close to fascism, campaign by the authorities of the Baltic states to barbarically remove en masse memorials to the Soviet soldier liberators. Well, maybe they wanted the Nazis. Well, and there were collaborators, plenty of. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, very smart woman, had accused the Baltic states on August 12 of, I'm quoting, neo-Nazi bacchanalia. All right, and I'm quoting, the neo-Nazi charge is significant because President Vladimir Putin used the same accusation to justify his February 24 invasion of Ukraine. Got that? You know what that means? Exactly what I said for 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Ukraine and the West dismissed that as a false pretext for a war of conquest. I don't think so. I mean, we all know, I think that's a fact, that Russians in the East were killed by the Ukrainian army. Starting 2014, when those guys did not recognize the coup, the leadership that overthrew the legitimate, democratically elected of Yanukovych government in Ukraine. And they said, no, we don't recognize you. You took power through force, sponsored by your sponsors from outside. That's not right. I mean, under any kind of interpretation, this would be a treasonous act when inside forces with support and instigation of outside forces destroy the status quo, democratically elected government. That means treason. Look in the dictionary. So this guy said, you know, we were not going to be part of you. We want outside of you. We're going to be something else. And said, no, you gotta be. And then they didn't allow them to vote, or they didn't vote. And then they closed the schools, they closed the radios, and then rolled the tanks in. And so I don't know. It's not the pretext. I think that's there. I mean, you can look back. It's fact. It's just inconvenient fact for some. The Baltic states were annexed by the Soviet Union in 1940. All right. From whom? From being free, right? And then occupied by Nazi Germany before returning to Moscow's rules as part of the Soviet Communist bloc until they regained independence with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. All three are members of the European Union and NATO, and their relations with Moscow have worsened sharply since the start of the war. Now, if you look at the statements, of these countries in the past, I don't know, since they got liberated again in 1993 or something, 91, 93, I think 93, they but from how do you call it, USSR, then they were like biting and so on, and they had a big Russian population on their territory. And I think they were prevented, I don't know exactly which of the three prevented the Russian population, I think, to vote in the first elections, I think first and second, I can't remember which country of these Baltic democratic states. I said no, because if they would vote, we're about, I don't know, like 40% or 30% Russians in there. If they would vote, they would be the majority party, so they would rule the country. So they say, no, we're going to exclude you, but you know, no representation but taxation, kind of, you know what I mean? So it says here that on August 25, Latvian authorities demolished Riga 80-meter monument. Not only that, Estonia announced that it would begin removing Soviet era. Estonia, as I said, I made a video on how many monuments. There were about like 20 or 30 monuments from Poland. I think even Norway or something, or Finland. Norway, I can't remember, another country that was Nordic country. I was like, what's wrong? Yeah, it was a monument of freedom or peace or something like that. And they removed because it was donated by the Russian Federation. Crazy, but whatever, you know. You want to control the future, you got to control the present, and then erase the past or something. Anyway, there you go. I think Russia will, the next move will be a little bit of escalation of words, and if these guys are not going to back down, I foresee that the Russians will go all the way with these three countries, and regardless of what NATO does or whatever it's going to be, we're going to nuke the shit out of you, and that's it. Back off. And I don't think anybody's going to back off until these guys, or some, will use, unfortunately, a nuclear weapon somewhere as a test or a you know, warning. And then maybe people will just wake up from their drunkenness, or will just be sent into a coma with another bomb. That's what I foresee. But it's very, you know, doom, gloomy. Oh my God, Emil. Well, maybe you give me another scenario. The other scenario will be Putin and his regime be cut off, killed, hanged like Mussolini in Milano, Piazza da Milano or something, and then hang down with his Lavrov and Zakharova and all those guys, and then the good democratic forces will take over, will kneel Russia, bend it over, take its pants off, and say, let's go, guys, one by one, many times, how many times you want, and then everybody will be okay, and the Russians will be rehabilitated and accepted in the world community of countries loving freedom and democracy and all that. And in the meantime, let me finish with a adagio. Okay? Thank you very much for being with me again today. I feel like throwing up when I see this kind of... Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.